It's 2024, authenticity is on the decline and fake virtuousness is on the rise. There are a lot of acts in modern sport, characters that try to sell fights and fighters that hide their true selves. But amongst the crowd of loudmouth delusion and hyped up prospects, there are a few fighters that stand out and choose authenticity, sticking to their morals and values instead of talking their way to the top of the roster. They don't stand out because of their fighting style, but because they are real and authentically themselves. Exhibit A, Khabib Nurmagomedov. Known for speaking his mind, staying true to his religious principles, Khabib is a great example of an authentic fighter and a true masculine figure. Exhibit B, Sean Strickland. Born into the tapestry of a blue-collar family, Strickland faced the dance of life's trials and triumphs, weaving a narrative that would resonate far beyond the borders of his hometown. Amidst the sunsets and palm-lined streets of Anaheim, Sean Strickland's childhood was a canvas painted with resilience, hope, and shadows of darkness. Yet, it was these very shadows that the warrior within Strickland began to take shape. Strickland's upbringing was plagued with hardships, as he would grow up in an abusive home due to constant altercations with his alcoholic father. My father, alcoholic, drunk, got on pills later on. Everything about him I hated. Yes, everything about him. I hated my dad, Strickland admitted. The echoes of those challenges reverberate through his fighting spirit today. Sean had to endure both mental and physical abuse at a young age, and was not the only one on the receiving end of the abuse. This toxic environment made him very angry as an adolescent, as he would switch schools multiple times due to getting in trouble. When Strickland was in the 3rd grade, he had used a guitar to save his mum from his abusive father. Quote, "There was a story where I remember I used to sleep in my mum's room a lot because I thought he'd kill my mum. I thought I'd wake up with my mum dead," Sean stated. He also expressed how in the 7th grade he looked to his grandfather for guidance, but further explained that my grandfather was this big piece of shit. He kind of filled your head with crazy shit. And how at the time he would spout neo-Nazi rhetoric told to him by his grandfather, not knowing what any of it meant. In the 9th grade, Sean was expelled from his school because of a hate crime he committed. This was how he started getting into MMA, as his mother would go on to take him to an MMA gym to sort out his issues. "I got into fighting because it kind of scared me. So I joined a gym because I didn't want to feel like a bitch. And I fucking loved it." He said after that, all the anger went away. Despite his upbringing, Strickland still resists the labels of victim or abused, and that is a mindset he still carries with him to this day. Although Strickland started training MMA at the age of 14 years old, Strickland watched MMA when he was younger. That's what first sparked his interest in the sport. Before he started training, he had a punching bag in his garage that he would take his anger out on as a means of escaping his reality. He would do this late at night, especially if he couldn't sleep due to his dad drinking late into the night. Finally, in the 9th grade, Strickland would step into his first MMA gym, stating, "I never experienced true happiness until the day I started training." He started fighting as an outlet for his murderous thoughts to stop. Due to his neo-Nazi beliefs, he used to go to school with a swastika drawn on with permanent marker. However, when he started training, he made the realization that he didn't hate certain minorities, and realized that his beliefs were once pushed onto him by people that had a big influence on his life. Quote, "When you grow up the way I grew up, you're so angry, you're so filled with hate, that you have to hate something," said Strickland. Further stating, "When I was younger, I fantasized on violence. I wanted to fucking kill somebody. I wanted to fucking stab somebody." Through making this realization, his skewed belief system shattered. Quote, "A lot of people who helped me out in my life, they weren't white. Usually, the white people in my life were dicks," he said, describing a realization that led him to abandon his previously held beliefs. Sean's venture into the world of fighting was a journey fueled by quest for purpose and an escape from life's difficulties. By the 10th grade, Sean had dropped out of school while still pursuing MMA. He continued to train over the next couple of years, and he would eventually make his professional MMA debut a month after his 17th birthday in 2008. Against another fighter that was also making his MMA debut, Tyler Potet, Sean would come out victorious. His second fight came a year later after his 18th birthday, coming up victorious again. Shawn would go on to win 2 more fights, totaling 4 career wins. This is when he thought about quitting MMA due to fighting not being worth it in his opinion, as he said that he made very little money in the beginning of his career. At 19 years of age, Shawn almost quit fighting because he separated his shoulder and had other plans for himself. But those plans changed one night when he went to a party as he got into a fight which led to his arrest, being charged with 2 felonies. At the time, Strickland was so broke that he couldn't pay for his bail, so he called King of the Cage back up and booked his next fight in South Africa. Strickland continued to fight and compiled an undefeated record of 9 wins and 0 losses before he faced Josh Bryant in a fight for the King of the Cage middleweight championship at King of the Cage Unification on December the 9th, 2012. He successfully won the title via split decision and further successfully defended his title 3 more times before eventually signing for the UFC. As he carved his path through the MMA landscape, it became evident that Strickland wasn't just a fighter, he was a rising star with unlimited potential. Rather than explosive athleticism, Strickland's fighting style is a showcase of the textbook 1-2 boxing combination, a jab followed by a cross. These moves are executed with precision, supported by some of the best striking defense in the UFC. Strickland has noted that his love for fighting is so deep-rooted that he actually fights to finance more training. That level of love for the sport and determination took Strickland further and allowed him to do what most fighters could not. Sean Strickland's journey to the UFC was an odyssey of unwavering determination and overcoming obstacles. Joining the UFC wasn't a mere step up, it was a leap into the spotlight, earned through blood, sweat, and an unbreakable spirit. Strickland would go on to make his UFC debut at UFC 171 on March the 15th, 2014, against Bubba McDaniel, as he was called in on just over a week's notice. Shawn would go on to win the fight via rear naked choke in the first round. Strickland would also go on to win his next fight at UFC Fight Night 41 against Luke Barnett on May 31st, 2014 via split decision. However, he would be faced with adversity in his next fight when he would go up against Santiago Ponzinibbio in early 2015, as he would lose the welterweight bout via unanimous decision. After facing this adversity, Strickland would go on to win 4 of his next 6 fights, losing to former welterweight champion Kamaru Usman, as well as Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. However, Shawn would not let these losses define him, as he would continue to soldier forward, forging a champion's mentality. Although fighting at welterweight was alright for him, he realized it wasn't working. So after winning his next fight at welterweight against Nordine Daleb, Strickland decided to stay at middleweight. But little did he know that one of his biggest obstacles was right around the corner. According to Strickland, in December of 2018, he was leaving a sparring session at the gym and he was on his way home when a van pulled out in front of him while he was going 45 miles per hour. The accident wasn't his fault, but Strickland definitely came out worse from the accident, as he fell unconscious for several hours. Shawn barely had time to open his eyes before being wheeled into surgery to hopefully repair his leg, which was essentially ripped apart after the accident. Quote, "I don't know if it's just the lifelong battle with depression that fighters have, but I just remember waking up like fuck. I hope I can fight again," Shawn stated. As far as the actual accident, that wasn't so traumatic, but just waking up to "you're going into knee surgery," that was the thing that really stuck me hard. The only thing I've ever done in life was be a loser and be an MMA fighter. That hit me hard. Let me tell you this, every doctor I talked to said I shouldn't fight again, Shawn said. 12 weeks after having his injury, Shawn would begin training again, using a straight leg brace to lock out his leg. Quote, "After about a year, I started thinking to myself, I can feel better again. I can do this," Strickland said. "Something will happen where I have a bad day or I'll wake up and my knee is throbbing and it will set me back. But for the most part in life, humans are capable of so much. And a lot of our limitations are what we put on ourselves." After an extended period of sitting on the sidelines, Strickland became well enough to have his management contact the UFC to look for a date for his next fight. And he booked his next fight on October the 31st, 2020 against Jack Marshman. The crash ruled Strickland out of action for almost 2 years before his return. But he would go on to win his first fight back in 2 years via unanimous decision. He would then go on to continue his winning streak as he won his next 4 fights in a row, most notably against Brendan Allen, Uriah Hall and Jack Hermanson. Overcoming challenges both inside and outside of the cage, he proved that the heart of a warrior beats louder than any adversity. In the midst of challenges, he continued to find solace and self-discovery in the realm of martial arts. These wins earned Strickland a #1 contender fight against former Glory Kickboxing champion Alex Poetin Pereira at UFC 276. Within the tapestry of Sean Strickland's journey, struggles and successes weave a narrative of resilience and triumph. And his next fight was no different from all the other hardships he had overcome as a fighter, coming up against the hungry Alex Pereira. Although Pereira was a kickboxing world champion, he didn't have much experience in the MMA scene. With only 6 fights under his belt, Pereira shouldn't be that big of a challenge for Strickland, right? The fight started and Strickland said that he was feeling out the fight for the first half of round #1 until...
Oh! That's what I'm talking about!
Sean was knocked out in 2 minutes and 36 seconds of the first round. From being the next challenger for the title to who knows what's next. Sean would get a second shot of redemption when a match with Jared Cannonier was set for the main event of UFC Fight Night 216 on December the 17th, 2022, the last UFC event of 2022. Strickland lost the fight on split decision, with 2 of the judges scoring the bout 49-46 in favour of Cannonier and the other judge scoring it 49-46 in favour of Strickland. Some pretty inconsistent scoring, right? Well, many critics thought that Strickland was robbed in the fight, talking about how Strickland should have won. But nonetheless, Strickland lost, and he was on the longest losing streak of his MMA career. His path was paved with the grit of adversity, where each setback became a crucible for transformation. Injuries and defeats weren't stumbling blocks, but stepping stones. Finally, things would turn around for Strickland, as he stepped in on short notice to face Nasruddin Imavov on January the 14th, 2023. Less than a month after his last fight, Strickland will step in on 5 days notice due to Kelvin Gastelum pulling out of the fight, coming in and putting on an outstanding performance on 5 days notice, coming out victorious, winning the fight by unanimous decision. In his next fight, they try to feed him to a hungry up-and-comer in Abus Magomedov, with Magomedov coming out as the more hungry fighter in the first round, definitely winning the first round. By the second round, Magomedov would gas out, and Sean ended the fight later in the second round, making a statement that he wasn't just another fighter that could be used as a stepping stone. His journey wasn't a linear path, but a symphony of challenges and conquests, a testament to the essence of a fighter's spirit. His win streak of 2 wins over lower ranked fighters earned him a shot at the title. It's up for debate whether he deserved the title shot or not, but nonetheless, Adesanya had beat all of the other top contenders in the division, and the #1 ranked Du Plessis couldn't fight due to injury, so Strickland was the only contender left. In the lead up to the fight, Strickland went beyond mere preparation to try and build the fight with Izzy, who saw Sean as no threat. Everyone had already wrote Strickland off, talking about other plans Adesanya would have for his fighting career, with Izzy sure he would walk through Sean as well. However, Strickland had other plans, coming into the fight with a perfect game plan against the champion, walking Adesanya down for all 5 rounds of the fight, making Israel fight to his game, demonstrating why he's such a tough opponent. The fight would go the distance and Strickland would go on to win the fight, dominating the champion, triumphing with a unanimous victory, winning the fight 49-46 on all judges' scorecards, almost knocking out Adesanya in the first round of the fight. Strickland's journey to the top of the UFC was a roller coaster of triumphs and setbacks. A narrative that epitomizes resilience. Overcoming setbacks, he continues to showcase an evolved skill set and an unwavering resolve that speaks volumes about his character. While some fighters like welterweight contender Colby Covington adopt personas to gain attention, Strickland opted for a different approach. Known for his unpredictable behavior and unapologetic way of speaking, Sean is authentically himself. He currently trains with Extreme Couture, and with the UFC title firmly in his grasp, Strickland now stands as the undisputed middleweight champion, a symbol of triumph over adversity. His current position within the UFC is not just about holding the belt, it's a statement of dominance and an invitation for the best fighters in the sport to challenge the newly crowned king. The stage is set for another epic chapter in Sean Strickland's journey, as he is set to face Dricus du Plessis at UFC 297, and the MMA world holds its breath in anticipation of the next thrilling installment in the saga of Strickland's career. The complexity of Sean Strickland is encapsulated not only in his relentless fighting style, but in his life story, filled with harsh realities, personal growth, and unexpected redemption. Not only is Strickland a good fighter, but he is a driven man that pushes everyone around him to transcend their limitations. Now with championship gold around his waist, he is by far the most compelling fighter in mixed martial arts.